Salve tutti, come state oggi? Spero che tutti voi stiate benissimo. Sono Danielle, benvenuti o bentornati al Learn Italian for Travel. Hello everybody, how are you doing? I hope you're all doing well today. I'm Danielle and welcome back to Learn Italian for Travel. Today's podcast is called Il piacere di insegnare italiano. The pleasure of teaching Italian. So in this podcast, I'm going to talk about my teaching experience over the past 25 years of teaching Italian. And then I'm going to talk about food, because food is an important aspect of Italian culture, as we know. And so always when I've taught Italian classes, I've concluded the courses with some kind of party. And so I'll discuss it in this podcast. I will say the text in Italian, and then I'll translate it into English, and then check out the pictures that go along with the story that are on my Instagram, Learn Italian for Travel with the number 4. And you'll see a variety of pictures from the conclusion of many semesters, not every semester, but many semesters of teaching Italian, both at the community college where I worked for 19 years, and as well as my private classes that I've taught. Allora, cominciamo. Il mio primo anno di insegnare italiano è stato nel 2000 all'Università di Notre Dame, mentre stavo facendo un master's nella letteratura italiana. Ero molto nervosa quell'anno e mi sentivo come se non fossi qualificata per insegnare la lingua a quel livello. Ogni giorno prima della lezione studiavo la grammatica per non sbagliare quello che stavo per presentare. Alla fine di entrambi i semestri che sono stata lì, le valutazioni degli studenti mi dicevano che ero entusiasta, ma che mi mancava l'organizzazione. Dopo un anno a Notre Dame ho deciso di non finire quel master's e sono tornata in California. Un professore che conoscevo all'Università di Chico mi ha detto di un master's lì nell'insegnamento delle lingue straniere. Potrei fare l'enfasi in italiano lavorando con lui, oltre a seguire altre lezioni nel Dipartimento dell'Educazione e Linguistica. L'inverno del 2002 è stato il mio primo semestre iscritto in quel programma e subito sono stata assunta da Butte College, un community college vicino a Chico. Mi hanno dato un corso di conversazione da insegnare. Lo insegnavo a una scuola superiore a Chico, che si chiama Chico High, una volta alla settimana e la classe durava 3 ore. Alla fine del semestre abbiamo usato la cucina della scuola per preparare una cena insieme. Abbiamo fatto gli gnocchi a mano e abbiamo anche preparato altri piatti buonissimi. È stato molto bello e tutti si sono divertiti. Da quel punto, alla fine di ogni semestre, facevo le feste col cibo italiano. Alla fine del semestre autunnale, di solito portavo la mia griglia per panini alla scuola e facevo i panini col formaggio, dei salumi e diverse verdure come i peperoni, i pomodori e il basilico. A volte portavo una grande frittata o un tiramisù già preparato a casa e gli studenti portavano anche il cibo che avevano preparato a casa. In inglese si dice un potluck. Alla fine del semestre primaverile, però, cominciavo la tradizione di fare gli gnocchi a casa mia. Invitavo tutti i miei studenti alla mia casa e preparavamo diversi sughi e la pasta insieme. Un anno un gruppo di studenti ha deciso che voleva vestirsi elegantemente per la cena. Allora tutti si sono vestiti bene per la festa. È stato molto bello. Alcuni di quegli anni non ho potuto ospitare la festa e allora abbiamo festeggiato alla scuola. Secondo me un corso di italiano deve finire con una celebrazione con diversi cibi italiani. Il cibo è un aspetto importante della cultura e quando si studia una lingua si studia ovviamente anche la cultura. Ho insegnato italiano a Butte College per 19 anni prima che l'amministrazione decidesse di eliminare il programma. Durante quel tempo ho insegnato il corso di conversazione e anche italiano 1 e 2, che erano più difficili. Sono stati begli anni con tanti diversi studenti che erano eccezionali. Dopo l'italiano è stato tolto dal Butte College, continuavo a insegnarlo, ma privatamente. C'erano studenti che avevano studiato con me al college e volevano continuare. E allora ho cominciato ad insegnare la classe a casa mia, nella mia sala da pranzo. Adesso ho un gruppo di studenti dedicati che vogliono continuare ad imparare e studiare. A questo punto siamo tutti buoni amici e queste lezioni di italiano sono diventate una parte importante e significativa della nostra vita. Quest'autunno ho offerto una nuova serie di italiano per i principianti che vogliono viaggiare in Italia. Avevo 10 nuovi studenti e allora entrambi i gruppi di studenti sono venuti a casa mia per la festa della fine del corso. Ho detto a tutti loro che è sempre un gran piacere insegnare italiano perché tutte le persone che vogliono studiarlo sono interessanti e divertenti. In 25 anni di insegnamento di italiano non ho mai avuto uno studente che non mi piaceva. Tutti voi che studiate italiano siete bravi e meravigliosi. Buono studio! La fine. Okay, so now I'm going to translate the story in Italian into English. And if I sound like I'm speaking really slowly in English, it's because I'm looking at what I wrote in Italian and just translating it as I read it. And so sometimes the order is mixed up. So just bear with me if I'm speaking slowly. So here we go. My first year teaching Italian was in 2000 at the University of Notre Dame while I was doing a master's program in Italian literature. I was really nervous that year, and I felt like I wasn't qualified to teach the language at that higher level. Every day before class, I studied the grammar in order to not make a mistake in what I was about to present. At the end of both semesters that I was teaching there, the evaluations of the students told me that I was enthusiastic, but I was lacking in organization. After a year at Notre Dame, I decided to not finish that master's and I returned to California. A professor that I knew at the university in Chico told me about a master's program there in the teaching of foreign languages. I would be able to have an emphasis in Italian working with him, but also taking other classes in the Department of Education and Linguistics. That winter of 2002 was my first semester enrolled in that program, and right away I was hired by Butte College, a community college near Chico. They gave me a conversation course to teach. I taught it at a high school in Chico that is called Chico High, 1 day a week, and the class lasted for 3 hours. At the end of the semester, we used the kitchen of the school in order to prepare a meal together. We made gnocchi by hand, and we also prepared other delicious plates. It was really awesome, and everybody had a great time. So from that point on, at the end of every semester, I gave parties with Italian food. At the end of the autumn semester, usually I would bring my panini grill to school, and I would make panini with cheese, with different meats, and with different vegetables like bell peppers, tomatoes, and basil. Sometimes I would bring a big frittata or omelet, an Italian omelet, or a tiramisu already made at home. And the students also would bring food that they had prepared at home. In English, we call this a potluck, right? At the end of the spring semester, however, I started the tradition of making gnocchi at my house. I invited all of the students to my house, and together we prepared different sauces and the pasta, the gnocchi, together. One year, a group of students, they decided to dress elegantly for the dinner. And so everybody arrived dressed really nicely for the party. It was really cool. For some of those years, I wasn't able to host the party, and so we had the celebration at school. In my opinion, an Italian class needs to finish with a celebration involving different Italian foods. Food is such an important aspect of culture, and when you study a language, you're obviously also studying the culture. I taught Italian at Butte College for 19 years before the administration decided to eliminate the program. During that time, I taught the conversation class, and I also taught Italian 1 and 2 that were more difficult. They were great years with so many different students that were all exceptional. After Italian was cut from Butte College, I continued to teach it, but privately. I had students that had studied with me at the college and they wanted to continue, and so I started to teach the class at my house and in my dining room. Now I have a group of students that are dedicated and want to continue to learn and study Italian. At this point, we are all good friends, and these lessons have become a really important and significant part of our lives. This fall, I also offered a series for beginners that want to travel to Italy. I had 10 new students, and so both groups came over to my house for the dinner at the end of the course. I told everybody that it's always a huge pleasure for me to teach Italian because all the people that have ever taken Italian are interesting and fun-loving. In 25 years of teaching Italian, I've never had a student that I didn't like. All of you that are studying Italian, you are all great, capable, and exceptional. Buono studio, enjoy studying. The end. So I hope that you go to Instagram and you can see all the pictures from our end of the semester potlucks and gnocchi making parties. There's, like I said, I've had so many amazing students. It's always been a pleasure for me to teach Italian. And I said at the end of the story, I've never had a student that I didn't like. I invited everybody to my house and everybody was just so generous and would, most of these students at Butte College, they were young. They were 18 to probably 25 and didn't have a lot of money. They were college students and still they would take the time to make food at home and they would bring it to the potlucks. And so I really appreciated just everybody's great energy and generosity and desire to really engage in the culture and in the language. So to all of my former students, if you're listening to this or maybe looking at Instagram, I've appreciated working with you and teaching you, and I hope if you haven't made it to Italy yet, that maybe someday you'll be able to. And even if you never do, I hope that you have great memories of our experience together, because I do. Allora, grazie mille di nuovo. Thank you again, everybody. And ci sentiamo fra 2 settimane. I'll be back with another podcast in 2 weeks. Buono studio, statemi bene, enjoy your studies, and take care. Ciao!